All right, let's jump right into a huge question. Can our most advanced technology, AI, actually fix one of humanity's oldest problems, inequality? Today, we're going to explore how artificial intelligence could be the key to building a world that's more just and accessible for absolutely everyone. So, think about it for a second. This one question is really at the heart of everything we're talking about. I know it sounds a little like science fiction, but the potential is so real. Could the same tech that runs our social media feeds also be used to level the playing field for millions of people? Let's find out. To really get what the mission is, we've got to start here with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 10. And its aim is massive: to reduce inequality by making sure that every single person, no matter their age, gender, disability, income, you name it, has an equal shot at opportunity. That's the global benchmark we're aiming for. And this, right here, is where AI comes in. The best way to think about it is like a powerful new tool in our toolbox. And when we design it the right way, AI can start to bridge these really critical gaps in things like education, healthcare, and jobs, reaching people and whole communities that honestly have been left behind for way too long. But, and this is the big but, AI is at a crossroads. It can take us down two completely different paths. On one hand, it could be a bridge, connecting people to resources they've never had before. But on the other hand, if we're not super careful, it can become a wall, making the biases that already exist in our world even worse and creating even bigger social divides. This quote just nails it, doesn't it? The technology itself isn't good or bad. What it becomes really depends on us. The real challenge is to consciously, deliberately design these systems to value human dignity and fairness right from the very start. Okay, so how in the world do we actually do that? Well, the answer is in a framework called inclusive design. You can pretty much think of it as the rule book, the blueprint that makes sure the tech we build actually works for as many people as possible, right from day one. It's not something you tack on at the end, it's the foundation you build on. So this breaks down inclusive design into 5 really actionable principles. You've got equitable use, making sure tech is useful for everyone. Then there's flexibility, which is all about giving people different ways to interact. Simplicity, so it's easy to get. Perceptible information, which means it communicates through more than one sense. And finally, tolerance for error, which kind of minimizes the consequences if you make a mistake. Altogether, these are our guide for building a fairer AI. So first up is equitable use. This is all about making technology that's not just useful, but also marketable to people with all sorts of abilities. A perfect example is a voice assistant that's trained to understand lots of different regional accents, not just some standard way of talking. Next up, you've got flexibility. This just means giving users choices. The design needs to work with a whole range of different preferences and abilities. Think about an app that lets you either talk to it or type to it, whatever works best for you. Third is simplicity and intuitive use. The tech just has to be easy to understand no matter what your background is. Clarity is everything. And the other principles like perceptible information and tolerance for error, they all work together to make sure communication happens in multiple ways and that the system is forgiving. It all adds up to a truly inclusive experience. All right, so that's the theory. But now let's look at how these principles are actually creating real-world tools that are already changing lives. This is where the whole idea of inclusive design stops being a concept and starts becoming a reality. I mean, just look at how these are being used. Speech recognition gives us real-time captions, making any conversation accessible. Computer vision can literally describe a room to someone who's visually impaired. Gesture recognition can translate sign language, giving a voice to those who communicate in a different way. And text simplification can take complicated information and make it understandable for everyone. Every one of these is breaking down a specific barrier. And that goal right there, empowering independent communication, that's really the beating heart of so many of these amazing breakthroughs. It's not about making people dependent on tech, it's about using tech to unlock their own independence. Which brings me to this amazing case study, the AI for the Deaf project. A group of students actually built a mobile app that uses a machine learning model to translate sign language into text, right there in real time. And this isn't just some cool tech demo. It's a real tool that gives deaf individuals the power to communicate more easily, whether they're in a classroom, at work, or just out in their communities. So, we've seen the problem, we've seen the principles, and we've seen the incredible potential. Now, it's your turn to start thinking like an inclusive designer. And look, this isn't just for coders and engineers. It's for all of us, because we all have a say in shaping what our future with technology looks like. So here's a little challenge for you. Try thinking through these 5 steps. First, pick a theme, something that really matters to you. Then, narrow it down to a specific problem you'd want to solve. Then, brainstorm an AI tool that could actually be the solution. And think about who would this tool empower. And this is the most important part. How would you build it so that it's fair, it's inclusive, and it respects everyone's privacy? Because when you strip it all away, all of this work, all of these principles, it all points to one single unifying goal. And that goal is this: to build technology that doesn't just help the people who are already connected and empowered, but that actively benefits everyone, especially those who have been left out. That right there is the true measure of success for inclusive AI. So I'll just leave you with this final thought to chew on. As we're building the future piece by piece, what's the biggest risk we run if we fail to design for everyone right from the very start?